I am in the company of, very respected men, and I shouldn't be like, I never thought about it. For the last 30 to 35 years in Kerala, no victim has got great justice. In the middle of all that, somebody who is perverse just caught me unaware, and now I am supposed to deal with all this. People will grab you, people will have a lot of kind of different perverse thoughts about different, kinds of women, and they don't really differentiate, is what I realized. It will never be an easy thing unless and until the system becomes empathetic.
Academician and filmmaker Asha Achy Joseph, who complained against ex-MLA and filmmaker P.T. Kunjumuhammed for sexual harassment, remained anonymous until now. On February 13th, she wrote an op-ed in a leading Malayalam newspaper, coming out publicly and identifying as the complainant in the case. P.T. Kunjumuhammed was twice MLA from Guruvayur. He contested as an independent candidate of the left. Asha was a jury member for the selection committee of the International Film Festival of Kerala, a government event. The incident happened in last December when she travelled to Thiruvananthapuram as a respected jury member, where P.T. Kunjumuhammed sexually harassed her. Asha is a founding member of the Women in Cinema collective, formed in the aftermath of the 2017 sexual assault of a woman actor in a moving car. Asha has also been part of several forums that address sexual harassment at the workplace and elsewhere. Yet, when it happened to her, she did not feel confident enough to go to the police with a complaint. Instead, she wrote a confidential letter to Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan. We have Asha with us. She told me that this process of repetition is extremely exhausting for her, but she's choosing to do this because she believes that when survivors step back into oblivion, it gives their harassers more space to set their own narratives. Thank you for doing this, Asha. First, I want to ask you about your letter to the Chief Minister. You are someone who is part of survivor support groups. You encourage women to step forward to give complaints. Yet you felt apprehensive to go to the police. What was your mental space?
Basically, I was confused because I think I have repeated this quite a number of channels where I was speaking. When a woman, is caught in between this, when she has already crossed the, the I call it the normalization, zone of a life, because when you start going to school, uh, a woman or a young girl, she starts realizing that this is an everyday affair. People touching you, people, looking at you, people staring at you, all kinds of things. So that is a, that is a very, very sickening period when you realize that you are going to be like this, in your entire life. People are going to look at you like this. So for some time, I think I was like that for from maybe my ninth standard till uh, I was a television producer, like about 35 years or something. So at that, I mean, during that huge time of your, you are in puberty, then you go to a young person, then you mature into somebody who has an identity and all that. So all this while you kind of travel with this huge armor where you have to be always, I'm sure every woman feels that. But after some time, then you progress in your career, you go into a lot of other things, you become kind of a person who can mentor, who is not looked at as a sexual object. I mean, at least I felt some, in some period I felt like that, because you get old or you crossed that age of being looked at. That I I basically I thought that that was completely bogus when I was in a fool's paradise maybe, that people will grab you, people will have a lot of kind of different perverse thoughts about different kinds of women, and they don't really differentiate, is what I realized. So that was a huge blow, because I was working very kind of comfortably in certain areas. And I mean, as you know, Women in Cinema Collective is a very small group of women, and they have to do a lot of work, and they work also in their careers, in their professions. So I was thinking, what happened? I mean, so I personally, I, as you said, I work in different capacities at different kind of work situations, especially working on gender and all that. So it was kind of caught unaware situation where I I realized that I have to start something very old but very new, in the sense that in my life I have seen this and I have detested that so much, but then now I have to work on it again. So it is something, very tiring on one level, because when you are a rather younger person, you would feel that, okay. Um, Okay, so you have a lot of rage, you have a lot of other things, you feel like bulldozing the whole system and all that. But then you kind of have this arc of coming back to, you have to look at different things, and you have to realize that these things are happening like this, so I have to work with the system to better it. So I was at that point where I was working on a lot of things, and I really wanted to make things better. In fact, I went to the jury thinking that I need to see a lot of films done by these young people, so that I can, I can tell my students, these are the, I mean, I teach cinema, and I mentor people from script to screen. So I need to tell them what is happening on that side. Especially Kerala gives a lot of weightage on independent cinema. Now there is a lot of things happening. So in the middle of all that, somebody who is perverse just caught me unaware. And now I am supposed to deal with all this. So I am sure that everybody feels like this.
So, when the FIR was registered, were you asked how you want to proceed with the complaint before the registration? That what I've seen you speak about how you sent a letter to the CM and later policemen just showed up at your house and the case was suo moto initiated. So, were you asked how you wanted to proceed with the complaint?
Yeah, just to continue with what you asked last. Yeah, that's very connected, because as I said, I wanted something beyond complaint. Because just one complaint to a police station just fizzles out somehow or the other, or you don't get to even speak your truth as a statement, because there are a lot of hazards, or what you say, uh, different steps that will punch you down. So I wanted to kind of very very specifically go beyond the typical complaint, and I wanted to see what the government would say, because it is, as you said earlier, it's a higher pedestal where you are part of the selection committee, and the only woman member of a selection committee. So the government should have some kind of response to this, because this is a kind of higher level, committee or a platform. So I wanted to see what, especially when the chief minister also becomes the employer of whatever the cultural departments and the IFFKs. I mean, he's the highest employer in that sense. So I wanted to see what the government would do, because also that when we started working, somehow or the other, no guideline was provided, especially when one woman is there. So nobody spoke about the safe environments, or if something happens, what should I do? I also forgot. I mean, I also forgot to ask them whether there is an IC, what is going to happen, all that. Because you are in awe of this whole thing, or like you are going to see 120 films in about 10 or 12 days, and then you are supposed to kind of, uh, there is a lot of thrill and excitement of watching films, especially I'm a very avid watcher of films. So I just thought that okay, I am in the company of very respected men, and I shouldn't be like, I never thought about it. So I was kind of being guilty of myself, that I didn't ask them, and I didn't know what kind of a mechanism was there to kind of receive a complaint. And that's, I mean, complaint itself, I made it into a kind of, I wrote in the letter that this is a political declaration against sexual harassment, because I have been working continuously on this, and this happening to me means that at this level, I mean, jury member has so much of privilege, but if it happens to me, that means that nothing positive happens to any victim in that sense. So that was my whole churning inside my mind, that what is this thing all about? Because they know that I am a WCC founder member. I have been working with the Chalchitra Academy for decades. So, so this was something very kind of shocking. Yeah, I'm a person who believes in the government. Basically, I believe, and I don't have any trust issues with anybody in that sense. Leave, let alone the government, even my very close people. I really believe whatever they say. So also my students, my colleagues, I don't have any such problem. So I was thinking somehow or the other, things will be in place, because of the situation we are in and the uniqueness of the situation and everything. Somehow or the other, this will at least get some kind of attention, and i can I can maybe take this up as a model case where the police responds in record time. And but then the next stage was very sad, because the FIR just didn't get formed till the media reported. After, just after the media reported, the FIR came. So it was like we could see that this is, the earlier action also was not really genuine, maybe, is what I thought. Because if you take that kind of action of getting a statement, and then you are saying that within 2 days the FIR will be formed, but then it doesn't happen for another week. And when the media you know takes that report out and puts it there, and after maybe 2 hours you get an FIR. So from there it started that kind of a shocks kind of a thing. And then I realized that they are hushing this thing up, because the Chalchitra Academy told me that you should come to the IFFK, you should never boycott IFFK. We are very sad this happened. So, so we will make arrangements that he is not invited to the festival, and his name will not be there in the festival. I mean, festival book and all that. But then I was again, I got a shock because according to POSH, it says that you have to take this person out and declare in public that until and unless a verdict or something like of that thing, I mean of that effect comes in, you wouldn't allow this person to stay in any official capacities. So again, nobody was saying anything in public, and they are telling me that all these things will be done, and that is kind of a hush hush thing, no? Like nobody says anything in public. Yeah, so that is the next. I mean, when you say that according to the law, I mean, you are looking after the law. The government says that we are doing things according to the law, according to whatever that the law has to kind of, uh, yeah, according to whatever the law says. Then why are you not saying it out in public that uh, this is your intention of not giving that the permission to come in for that person? So that was another, I was felt like, I mean, I was feeling like uh, this is something very not very appreciable, because everything is happening in the kind of behind the scene, and people are not knowing. So I had this question of basic transparency, and then it leads to public accountability. So these questions started coming very, very often, and I was very disturbed. When I came back from IFFK, I realized that the anticipatory bail was also granted. So IFFK ended on December 19th, and I think the bail application came on December 18th or 17th or something like that. And I was kind of, because you you feel like you have to handle a lot of things together when these cases come in, it's for me it's the first time. So I was thinking I must tell all my students to look into the entire process and study how a person can give a complaint, what happens in each stage. I was kind of feeling guilty again that I didn't learn any of this. Like nobody told me any of this earlier. Like in my earlier life, when I was a young person, I was thinking like I couldn't complain maybe sometimes because I didn't know what is in for me in the law. So I was telling my students, see, these are the very important things or essential things that you should know. So, but I couldn't handle it in the way I thought I would, because things were coming like uh, uh, sporadically, or like I would be doing something for the same thing, but then on like one fine morning I would hear that okay, this case, like anticipatory bail is applied. So the I mean, I didn't have any lawyer. I didn't have any lawyer means there were good friends and all that. But I was thinking the government is has taken a suo moto case. So the government is going to look after the case. So I didn't have any doubt about it again. So then I realized no, you have to go with a lawyer. You always should have another lawyer with you to make you understand what is this system, how is this system handling your case?
You just mentioned about how you were the only woman member in the selection committee. There are so many women now, more number of women now in the film industry working on and off camera. So you are the only woman, and I have seen you say before in one of your interviews that if there was at least one another woman in the team, maybe I could have shared it with her at that point, but I had to carry it back home until I could speak to my daughter. That's what you said. So do you feel that, and you just also mentioned about how the prevention of sexual harassment at workplace, the POSH Act, or the internal committees that it mandates, those rules or regulations, or whether they were existing at your workplace, was not mentioned to you. So do you feel that the government does not take POSH seriously, or that participation of women in these committees being limited to one number is very tokenistic? What are your thoughts on that?
One is, beginning from your last point, it is definitely tokenistic. And I don't have any doubt about it, because when you have, as you very rightly said, that when we have a lot of women coming up, like the government itself is providing 1.5 crores for one project, and there are two women every year. So that means that they are feeling that all those people are qualified enough to sit in these committees, and they don't really think about whether to put one more woman into that space. So that itself shows that they are just afraid of the public, or I am just expecting it like that. I don't know, I'm not judging, but I see it every time.
Hmm.
I see it every time that there won't be one more than one woman. It is very, very rare. I think in the last awards committee they had more women, but otherwise I don't see selection committees having more women. Maybe there are some times when the IDSFFK has more women, jurors or whatever. So what I was trying to say is that this whole thing of the government having like the government looking at posh, um, I was thinking that it ended with the PIL that we filed in way back in 2019 to 22. In 22, we got a verdict saying that uh, ICs are to be made in every film.
The WCC went to the High Court.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was thinking that the government didn't have enough kind of stand at that point. Also, because the government is very, like, it has very minimal access to the whole system inside film industry, because the government is not a provider in that sense, or a producer. This thing is a independent industry, and it is a very very personal or private kind of capital that is being shared in for as resource. But when I look at government orders and government what government is doing, personally I felt that it is kind of taken very lightly,
Hmm.
in the sense that, okay, ICs are there, okay, whatever happens we can go to ICs. In the ICs something will happen, somebody will be kind of getting some kind of respite. Other than that, this is not part of a proper judicial system, is what I felt. Because when the police people came, and when at last when the FIR was formed, uh, I saw that there was no mention of Posh.
Hmm. Despite the fact that this happened at your workplace.
Yes. So I was continuously wondering, uh, how can I ask somebody, or where can I ask why this is happening? Uh, because I couldn't see anything more, I mean, anything very far from Posh, because Posh is a very kind of very comprehensive act, is what I feel, because it gives a lot of answers and it asks the right questions. And as far as our whole judicial system is concerned, but uh, when I looked at this, I realized that even the police department and the chief minister's office, maybe they really don't think that this act is important. I am not very sure, but just by not mentioning this in this case particularly, because it's very clear that somebody came for an official assignment, and during that assignment, this happened. So, how can we remove Posh from that particular scene? I mean, I didn't understand.
Right. When we talk about the complaint and the court aspect of it, for those watching, states usually appoint public prosecutors who appear for survivors in such cases. So, how has your experience been dealing with the public prosecutor in this case?
Oh, I realized that the anticipatory bail request had come to the court, and I thought that because this is again my fault, uh, because the government is handling the case, I was of the thinking that the government will look after my side, because anyway they have taken a suo moto case. So I just thought that okay, everything is taken care of, so I don't need to do anything. But later I realized that I have to tell the public prosecutor what I feel about granting anticipatory bail, and she should represent me, or he should represent me. So when I called the mm, public prosecutor, she was unable to take my call a couple of times, and then I had to call another friend who knows her to tell her that this is Asha Joseph and please take her call. So they, later, I mean, as I said earlier, later I realized that the public prosecutors are overworked most of the time, and there is a lot of quality loss because of their lack of time and a lot of other things. And this is a systemic issue. So, anyway, I got through the public prosecutor. Then I spoke to her, and she said, I don't need to worry because she has taken all kinds of information to kind of present the case. But I wanted to speak to her a couple of things, but she said it's okay, she will take care of it. So I said, I thought she's a senior professional, I shouldn't worry. But then I realized that after the verdict came for an anticipatory bail, I realized that this person got anticipatory bail on the basis of his health. I am sure he has a lot of health issues or he is under treatment or whatever. But then I got a shock because I knew that while he harassed me, he was overpowering me. Like, he had that kind of strength. Uh, so it was a proper kind of, perpetrator's behavior. So I was thinking, there is nobody to see that I need justice in this particular segment of the case. So what shall I do for this? Because already when the anticipatory bail is given, um, there is nothing more to the case in that sense, because the later the charge sheet will be filed and things like that. So I realized that this person is going scot free at this segment of the entire procedure. So he will just have to go to the court while the trial is happening, or his advocate will go to the court. So whatever that I was going through, the shocks after shocks after shocks, and only because I decided to write.
Hmm.
A lot of people told me, be silent. This happens everywhere. You don't have to, you don't have, I mean, you take care of your mental health. That's what the general thing was. A lot of my friends said, Asha, this, like, you know what happens, so don't bother, it's okay. But then I said, how can it be okay? Because I have been working for a lot of victims, and I have been telling them it is good that you complained and everybody must complain, all these things, and how can I not complain? So I wanted to take the complaint to another pedestal because I wanted the CM to respond. But the thing was, I realized that in such cases where they realize that, such people of power are involved, then there is a lot of impunity. People, definitely those who are in power, they expect no consequence.
Do you think that the political affinities of the accused also impacts the kind of justice that women get? I'm asking you this because the LDF government in Kerala has made big promises on women's safety. And recently also, when Congress MLA Rahul Manguttal was accused in a couple of sexual harassment cases, the Chief Minister himself was praised for taking the side of the survivors. So when the accused is somebody that is left-leaning, or when their political affinities are very apparent, do you think that really shifts the kind of justice that women feel they get?
As of now, I think because I was feeling otherwise. I have been working with this government for the last 9 years in that sense. So whatever that they have been doing, I'm really a lot of things have been done in otherwise. But then when we look at the base of things, like when we look at these complaints, when we look at all these things that are related to women's safety, as they are saying, so the safety is not just a private thing. Safety is an institutional thing. You can't feel that a place is safe if you don't have an institutional will to do that. So I was wondering how the left government does not have this understanding where it is not just some empathetic people feeling kind about certain things or helping people. These are all very personal and private things which doesn't count in a very public sense,
Hmm.
because you have to show a path of justice that everybody can be following, and it has to be transparent and accountable to the general public, like all the people. It cannot be one kind of justice to one side and another kind of justice to another side. So I realized that they also are struggling with this. They are saying that they are not, but they also are struggling with it. They try to show that it is not like that, but at last, this thing, when it comes out, it comes out. It shows that they have they have a lack of vision in this particular area, and political will to kind of look at every perpetrator the same way and to bring justice to the table. Yeah.
Right. I want to ask you a little bit about your internal process of. You spoke about how you were in a position of power, in a certain position of power officially, when you were at the IFFK selection committee, when the process was going on. You have a certain kind of access, you have a certain kind of privilege, and then this happens to you. And I'm sure there are also a lot of conversations about, we've seen a lot of conversations about gradation of suffering. Somehow suffering, or the atrocity that has happened is graded, and people say, oh, this is, why don't you compromise, this is not as grave. I've seen you speaking about that as well. So taking all of this together, how has this internally affected, or has it affected your own positioning as a woman?
Yeah. I am in awe of our constitution because it talks about dignity of every person, and I really feel that it's very genuine. whatever the constitution says, it's very genuine, because I haven't, I am very emotional about it. But when it came to this case, and I have seen with all cases in terms of, somebody getting violated, um, one feels that one has to really um, take that into account in your internal process also. Like, you are struggling to understand where is your dignity and what happened to it during the violation, and how is it possible for yourself to heal. So my question was uh, also that who can tell me how or which is the process to heal? Because when you look at Me Too cases, when you look at also the typically procedural cases that comes to the system, sometimes you feel, is Me Too better? Because you can just tell everything, download everything to something, and you can, go back to your life. But Me Too is also very open, like, it never gets closed, and the wounds are just there, open, and kind of, it's there all the time, and then you don't know what to do. Even the society around you also don't know what to do, and people who have been in Me Too cases, and how to integrate them to uh, the future activities. Nobody knows what to do. And a small example is that when uh, I came out and spoke, a lot of men had problems in just asking me how I am, because they didn't know the language. They were wondering, if I ask like this, what will she think? I mean, they are all very good friends, but they couldn't talk to me. So I realized that this is a collective process. This is a kind of um, a whole community involved in this, to rebuild the dignity of somebody. And so the some I mean, for me, I thought that I have to take the lead in building back whatever I had, or in telling the world that um, one has to heal, one has to, it takes a long time, and how to support anybody who wants to build the dignity back. So that, I mean, I just thought that, let me experiment.
Okay.
I don't know what will happen. I really don't know. Even now, I don't know, because it's only 1 week or something that I started this process. This is a very new and very exhausting process, because I have been speaking to almost all channels, and they are all ears to listen. But what will happen to this media kind of sensationalizing? I mean, they are saying that I'm against the chief minister. They are saying that I'm against a lot of people. They are saying that a lot of people, try to, take me away from my cause. And I don't know what is happening, basically, because they need a lot of headlines. When I give an interview to somebody, then the other person will have to make another headline. So they are in a kind of looking at my interviews, and then they are rehashing the same thing and all that. So I feel that even media uh, need to see how a survivor can build back the dignity that she has lost, and what can be done. I mean, this is a good exercise for me, because I get a lot of clarity while talking to a good journalist, that what should I be doing. I mean, the questions give me a lot of power, and that is a good practice. But then I don't know if a person is not able to talk at all, what will happen. I have seen a lot of survivors who can't talk to anybody, leave alone media, to anybody. And I have heard a lot of my friends saying that, Asha, please don't go that way, who have been violated. Those friends, they say that, Asha, we have gone that way, and the press will just, eat you. Don't do that. But then I thought, I have been in the media. I have been, privileged to be working in this space for the last 30 years. So I might as well make it my home and speak about it. So I think I am very privileged being a media personnel, and I don't have any problem in speaking out. And also, in that way, maybe people will say that, you know, I am not confused in that sense, or I am not, I'm not troubled to that level where I can't come up to a mic and speak. I know a lot of people like that, but I think that's where I need to speak, also, because some survivors can't speak, some survivors are able to speak. So whoever are able to speak, I need to speak because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We started talking about how exhausting this process is for you and the fatigue that you've been going through. To wrap up, I just want to ask you two questions. One is, where do you see this case going from here? And also, you're a teacher. So many young people, young women look up to you. So, to them, what would you say now about handling these kind of situations going forward?
uh, in a singular case manner, I don't see this case going any, happening very quickly, or the trial will take a long time. As we know that generally trials take a longer time because we have a lot of cases. So I feel that till now, whatever has happened, till the charge sheet, uh, that is the model of how not to do certain things. Because very clearly, when you have when you have a statement taken by good professionally trained police women, you need to file FIR as early as possible. That's a very common understanding, but in my case it didn't happen. So also, the justice to be given while taking up these bail applications, yeah, all that actually hurts and violates the victim again and again and again. So why does the system provide all these situations to be, to violate the women again? So that's one thing I have understood from this entire process. And I have seen this earlier, but this is, in this case also it happened. That is one thing. And for the students or the young women, I think that this is not an easy thing. It will never be an easy thing unless and until the system becomes empathetic. The entire system needs to train itself to be empathetic to survivors, victims, and to be really, to put the perpetrators in perspective, and according to the justice system, and to see that what can be done to heal the survivor, heal the entire environment. That's what the young people should be thinking about, and I think a lot of learning is needed in this situation. Yeah.
Thank you. More power to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
speaking
you.
to me.
Thank you.
Thank you. For those watching, this is a conversation on holding power to accountability. We will bring you more conversations like this. We will keep following Asha's case as we follow many other cases. But to keep doing this work, we will need your support. Please scan the QR code on the screen or log on to the News Minute website to subscribe or contribute to any of our reporting funds. Thank you.